Hello Idle Hero fans, thank you for tuning in today, as I'm going to be doing a second part to my top 5 favorite heroes video. This time specifically just looking at 10-star heroes. I would actually much rather make a tier list for this kind of thing, but it's a little bit hard to do right now because there's still not a lot of data. So except for like a few outliers such as Ormus, there's not really a good indication of which 10-star heroes are the best for PvP or anything like that. There's like I said, there's a few specific ones you can state, like Bloodblade is probably the best for PvE, whereas you have Ormus for PvP is probably the strongest hero right now. But even that, it's hard to say because there's not really much data on the light and dark heroes yet, the 10-star ones. I know that there is one person who has a 10-star Dark Earthen doll, and she is amazing, so it's really hard to tell right now, but we'll have to wait for that. So this video is pretty much just going to be subjective opinion based on like which heroes I like the best, be it because of aesthetics or just something unique that the hero was given in their 10-star transformation that is pretty new to the game in general. But anyway, let's kick it right off with number 5 being Ditalion. And Ditalion didn't make my list last time, so it's definitely cool to see him here for the 10-star heroes. And the main reason I picked this guy for my 10-star and not last time was because aesthetically I find him way better now. Before he kind of looked, at least in my opinion, almost like a generic demon, you know? I don't know. Except for the sword, I think, which is what I said last time when I talked about Ditalion. His sword looks cool, but as a character I found that he was pretty generic. He almost looks like one of the boss characters from Soul Calibur 2, if I'm not mistaken. But now I find he looks way better, and his sword is even more awesome. It's much more unique. It's not just a generic blade. Like even before, it was cool, but the shape itself of the sword was kind of crappy. Now it has like a much more unique fantasy style look. It's obviously not very practical. You wouldn't see a certain YouTuber talk about it as a popular sword style for warriors back in the day, but I still think it looks amazing. And they've kept the eye, so which is, again, I compare him to like Nightmare from Soul Calibur 2, which he was one of my favorite characters back then. So I like that he's turning more into that, and he just looks more evil now in general, which is awesome. As well as the sword is way more on fire now. I don't think it was on fire at all last time, actually. It was a little, actually. It was pretty hard to see, but the sword was on fire. But in this rendition, it's way more obvious, and it just looks better. I don't think they really changed too much about him. It did give him extra damage reduction though, which is pretty strong. But I don't think overall he's still like a god. But I have heard if you give him the right aura, like if you put him in an evil team, which I think is 3 Abyss and then 3 Shadow, he does very well. But I just don't think the meta is in it right now. It's kind of, it's Ormus, honestly. Ormus is what's killing him. I guess if you could put him and Ormus on the same team, you might have some great results. But I think that's mostly to do with Ormus as opposed to Ditalion. But anyway, let's move on to our 4th best pick. And that is actually going to be Dark Earthen doll, like I said earlier. Dark Earthen doll, specifically the character, still looks pretty cool. I like that the orbs that she has are much more active. She kind of reminds me of Syndra now from League of Legends. She's much more like of a paler purple, which is again like Syndra. They changed her dress so that it's more black instead of like this bluish color, which again I'm much more for like the darker tones with these evil heroes. If you're gonna have an evil hero, I try to stay away from like the colors that are half and half, because I know like a darker blue is still pretty foreboding when you put it into the right context. I definitely prefer this kind of style, and those orbs just look much more menacing and much more powerful than the ones that she had before, where it was just these kind of like radiating power thing coming out of her hand. It's also a little bit harder to notice the eyes that are on her hands because the orbs kind of draw your attention, but she still does have the orbs or the eyes on her hands, which is a weird place to keep an eyeball, but that's her choice. And this one's a little bit deeper too, because this 30% chance of stealing 30 points of energy is actually amazing. I simply love this ability. It's so powerful. And it's funny because Dark Earthen was kind of falling off before this 10-star was put out. You could say that Sleepless and Das Moog were kind of being considered better replacements for her if you didn't run like a full crowd control team, or if you already had enough crowd control that you could kind of consider a DPS or a tank unit instead of more crowd control. But now that she does this stealing of energy, I think that she is, if not the best, she's probably the second best dark hero. But as I did say at the start of the video, it's hard to say for sure because there just really isn't enough testing. But regardless, I still think she's an amazing hero. She looks awesome, and I really like what they did with her. So, for number 3 is going to be Walter. And it's kind of being a theme right now where I like these kind of darker heroes. Especially with Walter, they've changed it from a green and black to a red and black, which I find it looks better. It kind of clashes with his abilities because all of his abilities are green and black. They kind of match his overall theme from the past few levels and not so much from this level. But I still prefer this aesthetic, and I wish they would change the abilities, but I mean, that's not going to happen. You can also see that, again, this is another character where I didn't really notice that he actually had like this green plasma stuff coming out of his blades before, but now it's a lot more like obvious that there's something happening here. The fire coming off the blades is amazing. His HP is a little shitty, but one of the big reasons that I decided to put this guy in my top 5 favorite heroes is because of this reduced damage for 2 rounds. That is amazing for an assassin. That's something you just do not see. I know that you could say that kind of Bloodblade has a similar thing going when he steals HP, or he just gets HP from killing units or attacking units, but to actually have it just prevented is awesome. It allows him to have this kind of shitty HP like I mentioned earlier, but have it not be too much of a detriment, assuming he gets out of round 1. So, just awesome character. I love the design, and I love the way that they kind of made like a new assassin mechanic. And number 2 is going to be Mickey. And I know that's a bit of a shock because I think she was my number 1 last time, and some of the characters have kind of shuffled around a little bit, but Mickey is still amazing, and I actually think this 10-star kind of saves what she used to do. Before the 10-star update, she had really fallen off. And I actually made a video specifically talking about why she did fall off. But I think now, with her added damage, you don't have to rely on her just being a dodge tank anymore. She can actually be a damage threat, as well as this really persistent annoyance that if you put her in the first slot, she's still going to cause a fuckery. She's not going to be as tanky as some of the other heroes, but she's going to be more akin to having like a Queen or an Ice Blink or Margaret as your tank, where she's utility. She can still tank well because of her dodge, but she also screws with your opponents because characters like Ormus, characters like Rosa, and even something like Dark Earthen to a lesser extent, because mages do have hit in their guild tree, really get messed up by a hero that can dodge their first attack and stop them from being able to use their abilities when they should be. Round 2, if only half your team is using their abilities because Mickey dodged half of them, you're in trouble. Like, that's really going to screw you over, especially now that Mickey just isn't just for doing that. She actually does damage now, which is amazing. I love the change of attire. It seems like she's one of the biggest like changes for heroes. She went from like this black and purple motif to like this brown hair with like red and white clothes. She kind of looks like I can't remember her name. I think she was from the King of Fighters or something like that. There's another character from a fighting game that wears a similar outfit to this. I can't remember who she is, but it is reminding me of that. And the kitsune mask on her head, I don't think she had that before. No, she just had the headband. So having the little mask is a cool feature, and it actually it's nostalgic for me because I remember when I played Ragnarok Online, I used to use the kitsune mask as one of my main headgears as an archer because it was like the best dexterity item you could get relatively easily. So it's just funny to see. I know that has nothing to do with Idle Heroes, but it's something that it does affect my opinion. So yeah, I think that with her visual update and the fact that she does damage, she has become amazing. But let's go to number 1, and that is Emily. And Emily right now is so underpowered, like, or underrated, I guess is a better word. She's not underpowered. She's very powerful, but I think that she's a little overshadowed by Ormus is a big problem. Her visually, she looks pretty similar, honestly. She looks okay. She doesn't look that different from her original counterpart. She has like the white hair instead of blue, but her theme is like this white and blue kind of motif going on. That's pretty similar. There's not much different here. It's a little bit of a lighter purplish color instead of blue, I guess, but she's pretty similar themed. But the main thing here that I like is that all of her stats are pretty good. Her attack is a little weak, but it has to be considering that she attacks 3 random units for 80%, so she's not really losing attack in that sense. And her ability isn't meant to actually do damage. It does do damage, but the thing about it is it does so much else. Like, this ability lowers your opponent's chance to hit you, it increases your speed, and increases your attack. Like, that's just so much going on right there. The fact that if you put her, Emily, and Mickey on the same team, I think this is when shit starts to get ridiculous, especially if you add Ormus into that mix. Just as a hypothetical, think about having something nonsensical like if you had 3 Demon Hunters, Emily, Ormus, and Mickey all on the same team, and you get that Justice aura or Redemption, I can't remember which one it is, but you get an aura from having 3 blue and 3 green, as well as all the debuffs, the crowd control, the healing, and the inability to actually hit these guys. I don't know if they would be so much strong as like they wouldn't be able to kill enemies quickly, but holy god, would it ever be impossible to actually fight that team in like a defensive position. It's just absurd. And not only that, but she also increases allies' attack by 29% and decreases the enemy's armor by 29%. There is so much going on with this hero, and I wish I could make one. I really do, but it would literally take 5 more Emilys, and I'm struggling to even get the first one. So I guess I could get the first one from the current event that's happening, but then I just have 1 Emily and it just doesn't feel worth it. I am going to be aiming to make her on my alternate account though, where I do have a 7-star Emily already, so I'm hoping in the future to get that done before the giveaway would be even better. If I could actually give away an account with a 10-star Emily as like proof that she's super strong right now, that would be awesome. But I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that fast enough, but we'll see. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and let me know what your top 5 heroes are right now, specifically with the 10 stars. Like, which 10 stars do you think are the coolest or the strongest, or which ones do you like the least? What is your thoughts on the current state of 10-star heroes anyway? As always, if you like the video, make sure to drop a like and comment whatever you feel like, and if you want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe. But thanks, guys, for watching, and have yourself a great night.